Now, according to a report by Naspers and Mistra, the local digital platform economy could inject more than 90 billion rand into the economy by 2035. Business Day TV reporter Darling Lechela caught up with Naspers SA CEO Phuti Mahanyele-Dabengwa at the launch and started off by asking her how the country can tap into that potential and achieve the 92 billion rand goal. Here's what she had to say.
I think for us to be able to tap into that potential, we need to ensure that firstly we have everything in place, and that is beginning, for instance, with our infrastructure. We need to ensure that our infrastructure is in place. We mentioned the fact that whilst we have over 100% mobile connectivity, only 20% actually have access to broadband. And so it's important that we can have more people having access to that broadband data and really being able to become participants in this economy. So, in addition to that, we need to ensure that we have more people really being able to become participants in this industry. So, ensuring that from an education perspective, that young people have access to proper mathematics, not maths lit, having access to science education, so that they can grow up and become meaningful players in this industry. Right now, what we do through Naspers Labs is that we are providing access to digital education of young people, and we're even re-educating young people, even those with degrees and those who don't have degrees, but ensuring that they can become real participants in this industry. And the reality is the fact that South Africa is an importer of skills, and so from that perspective, this is really helping in ensuring that we can have more South Africans playing in this industry. So from that perspective, we believe that it really is a potential. But that 92 billion rand is a small amount compared to what really could happen in South Africa. Because the 92 billion rand is based on just our digital businesses. If you looked at the entire industry, the opportunity for South Africa could be even more. And so that's what we are really driving towards. In fact, you will have heard in the conference, the DDG, Eunice, he mentioned that it should be even more than that. And it could be if we can have more of us playing in that. And so ensuring that we are creating more opportunities for South Africans in terms of employment, in terms of participation, ensuring that we're doing more for entrepreneurship in South Africa so that businesses can be able to scale up their businesses a lot more.
I guess that just brings me to my next question here around collaboration between the public and private sector to just untap that potential, even more potential, the potential that you're actually talking about. How has that been? How has the collaboration between Naspers and government been going, especially now with renewed hopes around the GNU?
Yeah. We are very excited about the GNU. Our engagements with Minister Pakstawu at the DTIC, our engagement with the Minister Solly Malachi of the DCDT, both of them immediately not only wanted to just speak about what we were talking about, they wanted action. So when we spoke about the township economy model that Take a Lot is following, and that we had launched that in Gauteng, immediately he said, but why just Gauteng? What about the rest of the country? And so they're partnering with us in terms of that township economy and making sure that we can roll this out across the country. We will be able to go into each and every province and have sellers from there, have entrepreneurs from there, have employers and employees from there as well. It's so important that we can get these townships to be able to be participants in this industry. You will have heard also in the conference the fact that there's a lot more that could be done in ensuring that we can make our townships a lot more meaningful as places of employment for people. So we are very excited about the GNU, and we really are keen on the work of the GNU, and we really hope that it continues with the work that they're doing, because on this route that we're on now, this is creating the track for a very successful South Africa. We really do believe that things could significantly change, and we just pray that they all remain working together so that we can continue working with them.
I mean, we talk about things like that. We talk about the GNU working together, and you know, things seem to be coming together on the political front. But if we are being honest, you know, there's still a lot of work to do. You know, our economy is really in the doldrums. Just a few weeks ago, we got numbers on unemployment. So would you say this is a fertile environment for the up-and-coming entrepreneur, for that one person that is, you know, on the ground starting their startup?
Yeah. Right now, it's not a fertile environment, but it's about to be. It's about to be. We're on the verge of making it a possibility. And so we all making sure that we are ensuring that entrepreneurs have access to the right skilling, the right capital, all of that, and the right markets through our businesses. So, you know, the opportunities are there. And we are very excited through the work that we're doing with Take a Lot on the township economy, because that is going to be doing a lot for entrepreneurs in townships and together in partnership with the DTIC.
Let's talk about funding for a bit. I mean, when we talk about a lot of small businesses in the country, a lot of tech startups, there's always worries or concerns about lack of funding or access to funding. It's quite difficult to get funding within this space. And I wanted to touch on that in particular because Naspers recently just closed down Foundry. So I know there's a lot of initiatives when it comes to skilling and when it comes to localization and just getting people onto the Take a Lot platform. But what about funding?
Yeah, funding is critical. And we know that South Africa has a very conservative approach to funding. A lot of funders tend to be banks, and it's a responsible thing for banks to be responsible with the capital that they have. But what you see in other markets is that you have a lot of venture capitalists, a lot of private equity entities, a lot of different types of funders being available in those markets for entrepreneurs. And, you know, with the capital that we provide, we know that it is much more conducive for entrepreneurs. Now, on the issue of the Naspers Foundry, what we did is the fact that it was impacted by the process that we were undergoing of reducing the number of employees that we had in the whole group internationally. And so as a result, the Naspers Foundry was impacted by that. But notwithstanding that, that has not dampened our focus on entrepreneurship in South Africa. Every single business that we've been invested in the Naspers Foundry, we've continued to engage with them, to look at how we can support them, etc. But we are looking at ways in which we can meaningfully come back and make a bigger impact through entrepreneurship in South Africa. And that is something that we can speak about on another day. But this is something that's critical for us because that is what's going to drive the change in South Africa.
Let's talk about that impact. I mean, we know that Naspers Process has investments in markets like China as well and India that have booming digital economies or digital platform economies. What lessons have been learned from, you know, operating or being involved in businesses on that front that we can then take from there and start applying into our local markets?
The first is legislation that is conducive for business. The second is infrastructure, making sure that you have infrastructure but at an affordable rate so that Makumalo on the street corner can be able to afford to get her business online and scale her business and start not only serving the community that she lives in, but be able to serve, you know, the nation with her product. And so having access to connectivity is something that is vital for this to be able to take place. And then beyond that, it's also looking at skilling, making sure that our youth have access to the right skilling so that they themselves can be able to have access to the opportunities because of the fact that we are right now, as I think I may have mentioned, that we're net importers of skilling. And so let us become a net exporter of those skills. Let us become like in India, where we know that 45% of all of the payments are taking place through India, you know, where they have the Aadhaar program that they run as well, which I also spoke about. It is so important that we can drive initiatives that are meaningful for our people here in South Africa and to be able to make an impact. And you know, when you look at markets on the African continent, and you look at a market like Egypt, where they have access to brilliant software skills and AI skills, and just by creating an environment where young people have access to skilling, it completely changes things, because suddenly the solutions for business are completely different. You can have more affordable, faster solutions coming up for those businesses, and it makes business so much more meaningful and more interesting and, you know, valuable for all of its stakeholders.
And I guess the key takeaways here is upskilling and just better collaboration with government, so we can fix the things that need to be fixed. Now, Phuti, a big part of your job is engaging policymakers. How does business communicate with government and, you know, departments across the board? I mean, you're dealing with communications, you're dealing with DTIC. How do we communicate with everyone with one voice so that the digital transformation plan is on par, is on plan, we get it through?
So this is the reason why we had the BLSA here, and we had a number of other organizations that represent many of us that are in the industry, so that we can be able to communicate with one voice. Because it's one thing for Naspers to communicate one thing, but it's different when a broader organization that speaks on behalf of businesses speaks that language as well. So it's important that we all are speaking the same thing of growing the market in South Africa, creating more opportunities for South Africans, and really creating a better future for everyone that is in this country. And what I hope is that by South Africa doing this, we can see that happening across Southern Africa and across the continent, because it really is upon all of us being able to propel our nation forward and creating a different picture from what we've seen in the past of what is written and read about Africa.
That was Naspers SA CEO Phuti Mahanyele-Dabengwa.